Hello and welcome to another episode of The Filum Show. I'm sure you've noticed by now that our regular host, Mike Sheridan, is not here today. Instead, it is myself, Deirdre Malumbi, hosting. Brian's laughing at me already.
I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. I was admiring how cleanly you were reading the script in front of you. You were just like, you had it. So, yeah. I'm not slagging. I'm not slagging. You're doing a great job.
If I do this more in the future, I will not have a script, but it's just because it's.
Oh no, sure, yeah. First time out, yeah, of course.
And I have to hit the beats and everything, that Mike kind of has off the cuff by now. So in my defense, just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am joined by movies editor Brian Lloyd. We've done this is our second time doing it, just the two of us.
It is.
Yeah.
This is your first time hosting though. I hosted last time.
Yeah.
It's not fun, is it? It's not fun.
I'll let you know as we progress.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Okay, you'll like this next line. It's a big week in the cinema. A dynamite one, you could say.
Oh, Deirdre. No. No puns, Deirdre.
I love puns. Puns. You should read my review on side of Show Dogs. It's all dog-related puns for the first paragraph. I just went nuts with it.
No.
It's fun.
Oh, that's bad. That is poor. You've gone down.
You're just going to walk up and out, and I'm just going to have to do the whole show myself.
You've gone down in my estimation. I thought you were better than that. I thought you were better than puns.
Anyway, I use said pun because Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom hit cinemas this week. So we're going to be reviewing that on the show. Pretty much just that because it's the only real release this week.
It is, yeah.
It's kind of the
to be fair, would you want to go up against it?
That's just it. And it's interesting because it's kind of a midweek release as well, that one. But we'll be reviewing that. We'll be looking at some movie news. And then we'll be doing the revisit, which is the Monster Squad this week. Yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions or comments for stuff you'd like to hear or questions you have or poke fun of us, poke fun at my inability to host a podcast.
I'm not doing anything. I swear to God.
Or give me constructive criticism.
It'd be good, yeah.
Everything is good. You can tweet us at The Filum Show. Before we get into reviews, we mentioned last week that Mike Sheridan was over in London.
He was.
Chatting with the cast and crew of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. He talked to the director, J.A. Bayona. He talked to the producer, Colin Trevorrow. He directed the first Jurassic World, and he's going to be directing the third, we recently found out. And then stars Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Jeff Goldblum. So we got to chat to loads of them. And I know that probably the latter is who everyone wants to see because Jeff Goldblum's so hot right now.
Sure.
So throw a clip in there, sure.
What was it like in 92 you shot the first Jurassic Park? It came out in 93. Yeah. That was the first because Spielberg's done that so many times in different decades where he's made a tentpole that's reverberated throughout the decades. Yes. It was the first real kind of summer blockbuster in the 90s. Obviously you had Independence Day and after as well. Yeah. But what was it like being part of Jurassic Park when it was coming out? Because the excitement was palpable. I think it was 9 or 10 when it came out at first. And
spectacular. Just creatively a very good time, a very nutritious time, and a very educational and expansive time for me. And that's kind of, like I've said before, of the first importance. But yeah, I don't think people, certainly not me, and maybe people generally didn't go. There wasn't such entertainment news. There wasn't such, following of the numbers and all that stuff. But I remember that it was very exciting. And geez, it sold that many tickets and people. And then people would come up to me and say, how excited they were. But, it's not as if my life changed, internally.
I tell you what, right? Jeff Goldblum, I am kind of sick to my stomach that I didn't get to interview him. I hope to get to interview him at some point.
I was going to ask you, were you mad jealous?
Right. First off, he started off the interview talking about jazz. And, that's kind of my thing.
I know,
okay? That's kind of my thing. And they just went into it. You know what I mean? They just went into it. It's kind of my thing. Felt like he was kind of stealing my thunder there a little bit. Well, not thunder, but, stealing my essence.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of... And that's happening a lot lately.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in fairness, Jeff did initiate that.
He did initiate that.
He was really so excited to talk about Imelda May. He pretty much has just been bringing it up all the time, which is great, Yeah. She needs, she doesn't really.
I know what you mean, yeah, I know what you're
saying. Because she's awesome,
May, yeah.
amazing.
But doesn't it kind of tell you, though? Doesn't it kind of tell you, and I suppose we can talk about this in the review, the fact that they wheeled him out for all the press stuff, and he's literally in this film 3 minutes. Like, I make it 3.5 minutes.
Well, I mean, he did say, in fairness,
Yeah.
in the run up to it, that this is a cameo role. And that's essentially what it is. So it's not like he betrayed that or anything.
No, not at all. But like at the same time, it's just sort of like 3 minutes, and they're making him do the press tour. Like, I feel bad for that guy. Although then again, maybe he's sort of like, oh, you know, I'm Jeff
Maybe
Goldblum.
he likes
Maybe he
doing it.
likes it. Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of weird. I don't know. I can't imagine people would enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's just it's odd.
Yeah.
It was very, very odd.
Still on our bucket list, both of ours, I think.
Oh,
to
yeah,
chat with
100%.
him at some point. So
100%.
hopefully. So going straight into reviews, both Brian and I got to see Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom this week. You got to see the press screening yesterday during the day, and I went to the Irish premiere. So it's pretty much completely fresh in both our heads.
Yeah.
You gave it 3 stars. So tell us your reasoning behind said rating.
Okay, right. So, I really liked Jurassic World. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I know a lot of people kind of saw it as this sort of like really soulless cash in, that it was really just kind of trading on the nostalgia set up by the first one, as in Jurassic Park. And that's a fair comment. I mean, it absolutely, Jurassic World really was kind of banking on people looking at it in a favourable light, remembering what it was like to see Jurassic Park for the first time. And it really was kind of about, you know, tapping into that. And also as well, in a weird kind of way, I felt that Jurassic World was kind of a lot more smarter than people gave it credit. Because, I mean, literally the whole how the whole thing kicks off is audiences are bored. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like they have to create this new creature called the Indominus Rex.
Yeah.
And that he is purely created because audience figures are slagging.
Yeah.
If you can believe that.
Yeah,
in
to
Jurassic
go see
World.
like dinosaurs. Like, really?
Literally walking dinosaurs and people are bored. And like that's kind of a commentary on blockbusters and kind of commentary on like
kind of all entertainment
all
media
entertainment,
now.
Really. Yeah, exactly. And again, that's really smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart. Like I've found that really cool. Okay, fair enough. Like they didn't kind of go fully Susan Sontag, really delve into the, you know, media and what does it mean and semiotics and all that kind of shit. Like
That's a dinosaur movie.
I know, that's it. Like it's a blockbuster. Like that's as smart as you're going to get, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
This time around, with Fallen Kingdom, I felt like they could have done something really smart. They could have really kind of, you know, looked at like how was it that, you know, it got so boring in the first place, as in like the idea of dinosaurs being everywhere. How did that happen? And they could have done a whole thing on like, you know, examining what happened in Jurassic World and the fact that like, you know, Bryce Dallas Howard's character was the operations manager. How did it come to be that like, how wasn't she in jail is what I'm saying. You know, how wasn't she like in some massive kind of corporate lawsuit thing where she was being personally held accountable for all the people that died? Because people died in Jurassic World.
Yeah, that's true.
And instead it's just like, no, she's now working for this conservation group and I mean, the idea of, you know, the dinosaurs on the island being left to their own devices kind of didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Because, like, okay, fine, 3 years have passed, but surely to Christ, somebody would have gone out there and tried to do something to kind of contain the situation after the park had closed. They didn't address that. It was just like, they're left on the island. Oh, wait, and now there's a volcano happening, and we've got to kind of decide whether we're going to get them out or not. And the fact that, you know, there was this volcano thing added a certain level of pacing to the first half. Because the first half of the film is set on the island.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought the volcano thing really gave it a strong sense of pacing, which it needed. And it really just kind of made it dirty and gritty and just like, they've got to get the dinosaurs, whatever they can off the island.
Yeah, like at this point kind of Chris Pratt has entered the scene. But it takes a while for everything to kind of be established, even though the establishment of kind of where the characters are and everything is very simple, very straightforward. Like you said, they skipped so much and yet it seems to take ages. But like you said, then when they get into that whole volcano sequence, that is like when the pace finally picks up. I thought the effects were great in that sequence. The sound design is great as well. Like technically this film accomplishes a lot. But it's the problem of that whole kind of getting from A to B and there being all those like kind of points and different parts in between. I thought the third act as well was really good in where it became kind of more of a horror.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the director Jay Bayona's strong point, because he would have directed The Orphanage and then he did The Impossible, and it was obviously the effects with The Impossible that kind of got him this gig as well. And the fact that he's working with a kid in the cast as well, I thought she was very good. A little inconsistent with the whole her going off with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard while she's, grieving, and then basically being like, come with us, kid, and she's like, okay, no stranger danger for her.
But not even that as well. As okay, there were so many times in this was like, we could get this kid out of this situation, but no, we're leaving her in here, like literal dinosaurs running around a big enough house, and she's still there, and no one thought to okay, let's put her in a car and get her out of here. No, I mean, I know
it's different to kind of the setup in the first movie, where again you have these kids in the dangerous situation, but they are trapped. They're realistically trapped.
That's it. They're realistically trapped. It's sort of like, this was a really fun, happy place, and then it all went sideways, and now they're stuck there. Whereas in this was this was a house, and we knew what we were doing. We were bringing these dinosaurs here. And this kid is left behind. And I don't know.
There was also a bit at the start of the movie, I don't know if you remember this, where I think it must be when they're on the island and it's all raining and stuff. And there's the guy who's fixing something, and there's a helicopter a few meters away from him, and all the guys are like, get in here, get in here, get out. And he's like, what? I can't hear you. And it's like, really?
That's real. That's horror 101. That's literally I'm going to get naked and take a shower. Hello, Billy? Yeah, no, it's really,
it's just kind of such basic stuff. And I mean, I think that as I was watching the movie, I was kind of thinking there is a line between cliches and kind of relying on nostalgia.
Sure, tropes.
And there's self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that with some movies we've gotten recently with the self-awareness thing, particularly Marvel has been getting really, really good at getting that down pat, like with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, with Thor Ragnarok, even to an extent Black Panther. It's kind of self-aware and doing something new. You know what I mean? Not just kind of rehashing the same stuff, whereas this is just rehashing out old tried and tested methods. It wasn't really, I thought that there was, like you said, there was opportunity to do something kind of more risky and take it in a different direction that we totally didn't expect.
But to be fair, I suppose when you look at something I don't know, The Last Jedi, which I thought was, I know a lot of people didn't like it, or some people didn't like it. I liked it because I felt it really did try to
do something new,
do something new and move it in a different direction. And you have these expectations, and you're not going to get what you want out of it, but you're going to get something different. And this, to me, was just okay, we have Jurassic Park, we have these dinosaurs. We're going to try, shrink it down into one house and just see what happens. But
they don't even get to the house till the third act.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I don't know. And then there was that whole volcanic sequence, and I thought it was kind of a nice little commentary on conservation and environmental protection and everything. But then you kind of have the horror element in the third act, and it's just it kind of feels like everything's being crammed in. Jay Bayona obviously had a lot of kind of hopes for this movie, a lot of ideas, but I think that it ended up being a bit too much. And then what he used for in between was basically, we'll use this moment from the previous movie and this moment from Jurassic Park and stuff like that. And it just ended up kind of being it's grand, it's watchable, and it's enjoyable, and it does have, like I said, those kind of high points which are really fun and really exciting. And like I said, technically it's
very well
to
done.
Look at, and it's so immersive.
It's very I can't fault Bayona's direction, and I can't fault any of his choices. But I think the script let him down. I really think that had this been,
it lacked this kind of coherency, oneness, or something, for lack of a better.
And even
you know what I mean?
And even a certain intelligence. I think if it, the one thing that made Jurassic Park so funny and so good and so enjoyable was, okay, fine, you had the wonder and you had oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. But there was also an intelligence with it. The fact that they parked a scene in the middle of Jurassic Park, and you had Jeff Goldblum arguing for we shouldn't have made these in the first. The whole thing where it's you didn't stop to think if you. That scene where they're arguing at the table about okay, fine, you don't have to have a film, you don't have to have that scene in it, because obviously it's already been done. But I don't know, there just could have been an examination, there could have been something in it that would have made it a little bit more aware of itself.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about self-aware and self-referential. I'm just saying acknowledge the fact that this is happening and that this is like, we're in this scenario and like, why are we in this scenario? It's just, no, it's happened. This is the way it's been done and whatever.
I think actually just like kind of a final point, just to pick up on what you were saying with regards to Jeff Goldblum, I also thought that what Jurassic Park, and even I would argue to an extent Jurassic World, I would argue that is that in terms of the supports, you had a really strong supporting cast in Jurassic Park who all kind of had their own opinion and take on stuff, and they were really kind of compelling, interesting characters. I think that this film really kind of lacks like interesting characterization. I mean, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, both very, very talented actors, but their characters are a bit bland, and
they're not given anything to do.
They're not given anything to do, and I mean the other guys you have in there are like the likes of, I know Rafe Spall and Toby Jones were kind of added, and they don't really have much to do other than being kind of the British villain betrayer guys.
And like it's and like, okay, fine, there is a certain viciousness to it that where you kind of, when you see them, I mean, and I'm not, this is not being
we have to be careful with spoilers, I suppose, but it's not really a spoilery movie because you kind of,
you know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's done very well when you see them get their comeuppance. It's like, yes! But again, you're just sort of like, it's almost felt like they were just put in there just so you could see them get taken out. Like.
Yeah, there was no kind of effort put into actually, again, maybe like you said, it's down to the script.
Yeah. And like, I thought Ted Levine, who's a really good actor, who was the mercenary guy, he's a
I
really
quite
good
liked
actor.
him. I could see him trying to kind of go like a bit Marlon Brando or something with it. In fairness, like he was giving it socks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He was good.
He's a really, really good actor. Like I really, really like it whenever he turns up because he always gives a good performance. Like he always looks like he cares. And they use him enough, but like they could have done so much more.
Yeah.
The whole time I was watching this, it was like, and this wasn't just about Ted Levine. This was with the whole film. I was like,
missed opportunities.
Yeah, it was good. It was grand. But this is Jurassic Park. This is meant to be amazing. And it just kind of like,
Yeah.
It's just, you know? Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, so
3 stars. Like,
it's
no,
a
don't get me wrong.
movie.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's just good.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I don't think it probably won't make the money then that Jurassic World made. Because
I think it will.
You think so? Well, you know that it was until recently Jurassic World was the 4th. Now this isn't adjusted for inflation. I think adjusted for inflation, like something like Gone with the Wind is still the most successful.
But it was like the 5th highest.
It was the 4th, and it recently became the 5th because Avengers: Infinity War knocked it off.
True enough. Yeah.
So yeah, the top 3 being like Avatar, Titanic, and what would be the other one?
First Avengers.
Oh no, Force Awakens.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
true.
Yeah. So they're the top 5. But
Top
you
5.
You really think that Fallen Kingdom
they're
would
tracking it
come
for
up
like
to the
130
top
to 150.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think it'll get into the top 5. It'll be the top 10.
Yeah.
But like they're tracking it for 130, 150 opening weekend.
Yeah.
So I think it'll do really well money wise. Like it's Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Like, people are just going to be dinosaurs, grand. Let's see it. Like I don't think people are going to put. I think, and this is not a slag on audiences, but I don't think they're going to put half as much thought into it as we are. They're just going to see dinosaurs. True. They're going to see Chris Pratt. And they'll be like, yeah, screw it, why not? Like, and that's fine. That's totally fine. You can take this film completely at face value and just get your, enjoyment out of it, and that's it. Like, it's perfectly serviceable on that front.
That's fair enough. Okay, perfect.
Right.
So now we will have some movie news. I think Mike was disappointed when I didn't do my last week.
Do the dance,
but he was kind of being like, "Dance, monkey, dance."
He got really upset about that afterwards. You made me look like a tit. And I was like, "You're always throwing me under the bus." I got you once. I got you once under the bus. So what do you got?
Okay, so anyone who's listened to the show before is probably aware that I love my trailer news. I just love seeing trailers. Sure. They get me excited. Yeah. They do give you kind of a good hint of like tone and stuff, and where a movie's going to go and everything, and just what's coming up. So there have been loads of trailers dropped so far this week, but I'm just going to go through a few that were released on the Monday and Tuesday of this week, and they were Widows, Suspiria, White Boy Rick with Matthew McConaughey, Bumblebee, which we kind of talked about last week, The Lego Movie 2, which I was not expecting, pleasantly surprised, and Mortal Engines.
Oh, and Wreck-It Ralph 2 as well.
Oh, that was
Monday. That was Monday as well.
But see, we already had a trailer for that.
True. True.
But it was an extended trailer, so that was a good one too. But even like including Wreck-It Ralph 2, Brian, which was your favorite trailer? Which caught your attention?
Okay, right. I'm not saying this was my favorite trailer because it wasn't.
Yeah, but it has you kind of most intrigued, maybe?
Suspiria.
Suspiria, yeah.
Freaked me the F out.
Yeah.
Right.
It's intense.
It is intense, but this is not kidding. You can see the article on the website. After I stopped watching Suspiria, I checked my hands and they were really sweaty. I was just really like, oh no, oh God. Like, it was really, and like, there's nothing particularly violent in the trailer at all. There is no gore in it. There is no whatever, but there is the intent and hint of it. And that alone, like, there's this like S-hook thing. I don't know what it is, but they're carrying around. And I saw that, I was like, oh God, what are they going to do with that?
It was kind of giving me, whatchamacallit, Texas Chainsaw Massacre flashbacks.
Something, yeah. Something. When I saw that hook thing, I was like, oh God, what are you going to do with that? What is that going to do? And like, from the reaction, they showed footage of Suspiria, I think it was at CinemaCon last month. And apparently it was like the way people were talking about it was the same way people were talking about The Exorcist in the 70s. As in, literally, people were fainting, people were getting sick. And, you know, I like, it's horrifying to think what they could do, because like, it takes a lot for people to have that kind of reaction nowadays. You know, that sort of way. Like,
for sure.
So I'm really excited, and at the same time, I'm really horrified.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think. And like, to think this is the guy that did Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah,
that's
weird
crazy.
one, right?
Like, Luca Guadagnino. Yeah, like, I mean, the fact that like this guy made one of the, you know, most loveliest, beautiful, really intelligent art house romantic
dramas.
dramas.
I still haven't seen it. So bad. You haven't seen it either. Oh no.
Right?
But no, from what everyone said.
But from whatever everyone said, like the fact that the Lighthouse.
We do know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, recently was the longest
running film in the Lighthouse.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. But to think
I really wish I'd made it to their closing thing
right?
last weekend, but I was away. So.
I know, yeah, and like I was at a wedding. I was like, I should go to that, and I was like, I came back on the Sunday. I was like, I said to my girlfriend, I was like, come on, let's go see Call Me By Your Name. She said, that's out on DVD. We could watch that whenever. I was like, no, but this is like the last time you're going to see it later. So, yeah.
Would have been special. But, I mean, it is, so for anyone who doesn't know, it is a remake of this movie.
It's an homage.
Yeah, homage.
Homage.
Dario Argento in the 1960s? 70s. And it's got an amazing cast. Dakota Johnson, I'm really interested to see her break away from 50 Shades.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton as well, who I love. She's just kind of amazing in everything.
She looks freaky in it as well.
Yeah.
And that Mia Goth one is in it as well, that supermodel.
I think she's kind of freaky looking too.
Her eyes freaks me out.
Yeah. She's intense. She was in an Irish movie a few years ago, The Survivalist. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah.
It's I actually think that people should go out and check that out, because it's like a new take on this kind of whole idea of like a dystopian future.
Yeah, post-apocalypse.
That was genuinely something I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, that guy
I thought was really great. Martin McCann.
That's right.
Yeah.
That guy was in
and Olwen for I'm not sure how to pronounce
he was
his name.
he was in Maze. I know that. Yeah, he was in Maze.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Suspiria, but Widows, I'm really intrigued.
Widows, I really want to see as well. I have high hopes of that. I'm like, I really want it to be done well, because I love the cast there, like Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, and I think Elizabeth Debicki as well. Is she in it? It just looks like really kind of fabulous. Isn't it weird that, like, I read somewhere recently that I think they're doing a similar kind of storyline, in that, like, the wives have to like take care of like kind of what their gangster husbands did, but there's like a comedy version of that or something coming out with like Melissa McCarthy or something.
Is it really?
It's not like the same. It's not the same at all, but it's just interesting that sometimes it happens that you hear about these two like projects at the same time that have so much in common. It's just so weird. But Widows looks good, and Bumblebee. Looks great.
We were saying this, like we were like, this actually looks kind of good. This is a Transformers movie, and it's like, this does not suck. This actually looks like it could be interesting. Yeah,
like it's not kind of all explosions and robots punching the crap out of each other, as tends to be the Transformers franchise. So I mean, this could be the rejuvenation it needs. We were talking about
Yeah,
last
we
week
said
how
this last
the
week,
last sequel was cancelled, and genuinely, it looks great. And Hayley Steinfeld is.
Yeah,
awesome.
she's a really good actress. Like,
Yeah.
like we were talking about, like Edge of 17. We were saying how good it was and
Yeah.
everything like that. And the guy who's directing Bumblebee, Travis Knight, he did Kubo and the Two Strings, and he did
Coraline.
Coraline.
And I think he didn't he do The Nightmare Before Christmas as well?
No, that's Henry Selick, I think is that guy's name.
okay.
But he did.
Yeah, because I know that Nightmare Before Christmas, a lot of people still think
Paranorman.
it's Tim Burton. Paranorman.
Paranorman.
Oh,
He did
I
Paranorman.
love that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
yeah.
Like animation is the
Yeah.
name of the crowd that he runs. Yeah.
I love Leica, yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited. Like I was
Yeah.
like, this looks like it could be
Looks so
cool.
good.
This could be good. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I can get excited and feel not ashamed about liking Transformers. Like, yeah.
Yeah, of all the trailers, I have to say the only one that I saw that I was like no interest in whatsoever, Mortal Engines. Yeah. It just I don't know. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it'll be good, but I don't know. It just looks a bit messy. I'm getting real like the Dark Tower vibes off it.
Yes.
And you know how awfully that went.
Like I was watching.
Did you ever see the Dark Tower?
No,
a
actually,
mess.
funny. I was talking to a mate of
Mess.
mine. I was talking to a mate of mine who watched it over the weekend, and he was like, "Yeah, it's good, but like it's grand, but like it's too kiddish. Like it could have been this."
If they'd gone like kind of dark with
yeah,
it. Yeah.
Instead, they were trying to make like I don't know some sort of PG-13 thing with it, and it just didn't work. But yeah, Mortal Engines. God, I don't know. Like, I mean. I have a horrible feeling it's going to be a mess. I have a horrible feeling it's going to be a mess. And like the guy who directed it, this is his first film, a guy called Christian Rivers, who was like a storyboard artist for Peter Jackson. And you can tell that Peter Jackson's stamp is all over this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it really does look like he had a real kind of hand in it.
And kind of creative input.
Yeah, creative input and all the rest of it. But I don't think that's going to be enough to save it. I think this is going to be a mess. And like God, you know, like I think, you know, Hugo Weaving is a really talented actor. I think Robert Sheehan is great. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I think it's really inventive, but like, you know, not everything has to be turned into a film.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we're kind of over that whole teen dystopia
Yeah, YA
phase
novels,
anyway.
yeah.
I mean, although in fairness, you know, The Maze Runner, The Death Cure, which came like several years too late after its previous one, I'm pretty sure that ended up actually doing quite well in the box office. So maybe teens are still looking for this, even though as we know, the Divergent series ended up being a total mess, and now it's like, what are they doing? Like straight to TV
like a
for
TV
like
thing
the
or something. Yeah,
last chapter, so it's just not good.
But like, I think I think the interesting thing about what the kind of YA novel stuff is that like, you know, it can. If it's done right, it doesn't look like YA. Do you know that kind of like the Hunger Games? You wouldn't think that was a YA.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You know,
so
that
true.
sort of
Yeah.
But yeah, Mortal Engines. God, I don't know. Like I saw it, I was like, it's moving cities.
Yeah.
You know, there's a city called London that's literally moving. Okay, what else you got? Like, and the CGI didn't look great either.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see with that one. But next item on the agenda. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you think about this, because I saw when you wrote the piece of it on site, actually, you'd lots to say, which is, so it's really interesting. This is with regards to who could be playing Willy Wonka in the new reboot. So we heard about it previously. The helmer for Paddington and Paddington 2 as well. I think Paul King is set to direct it. I think the Paddington movies are great, so I think that he's a brilliant choice for it. And Collider is now reporting that Warner Brothers has the shortlist down to 3 actors: Donald Glover, Ezra Miller, and Ryan Gosling. So Ryan Gosling's name has probably been floating around it the longest time. And I still feel like he's the most likely. But tell us a bit about. I do feel so. Well, I mean, didn't you say about how Warner Brothers has kind of been?
Oh yeah, they've been trying to get him
for a while,
yeah.
and just the fact that his name has been attached to it. I personally think that like he's kind of. I don't know, like what was so brilliant about what Gene Wilder did with that character originally, and I know he tells this whole story in. I actually read his autobiography.
Is it good?
Very good. I'll
Would you loan it to me? Actually,
yeah, it's really good.
Please do.
But he talks about how he was very insistent on that opening scene that his character have a limp and then do that tumble.
Yeah.
And he said the purpose behind that was so that you don't know.
He's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, he's an unreliable narrator. You don't know what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
And I'm I don't know if Ryan Gosling could carry off that nuance and also that slight creepiness, but never kind of intimidating nature that Gene Wilder had, as opposed to Johnny Depp went too far into the creepy thing. Too creepy. Yeah. Although, in fairness, it was probably more in keeping with Roald Dahl's original tone. But I think that Gene Wilder, like, that's why the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
was all him.
Is a family Christmas classic, is because of the warmth he brought to that character that maybe wasn't in the original, but that's what people want now.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, you know, you're absolutely right. If you read the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it is dark.
It's really dark.
It's really dark.
Roald Dahl stuff is so messed up sometimes.
I know. God, like the magic finger. Like,
oh my God, I remember that. So dark.
So weird. And okay, fine. The 70s version did kind of blunt it in a certain degree, but to be fair, I don't think even now. Like, you look at Tim Burton's one, and that was a straight adaptation with a little bit added on.
Yeah.
And that was
even
too
like
weird.
The ending with the characters he included, whereas in the Gene Wilder version they didn't show what happened to those kids, i.e. that they were a berry and they were all flattened and all that stuff that happened.
But I mean, I think Tim Burton's one was too straight of an adaptation and just made it too weird. I don't know. I mean, look, I personally, if it was out of them three, I would pick Donald Glover because he can sing, he's got the warmth and the charm. And it's an interesting take on it.
I think he could also do the dark thing because, I mean, we saw that in This Is America, how quickly he can shift between kind of really different characteristics and personality traits. So I think he'd be really interesting.
I think he would too. I think out of the two of them, he'd definitely be the most. But having said that, I mean, Christ, do we really need this reboot? I mean, that's the central kind of thing. Do we really need this reboot? And as good and all as Paul King is, and I really do think he's the best possible choice to direct it. Yeah. At the same time, I'm sort of come on, can you not do something different?
I just think everything is a reboot and remake these days. And I mean, I remember I was on with Nicky Byrne and Jenny Green last week.
Name drop.
Name drop. That's not as big a name drop as what you and Mike have done in the past. But anyway,
that guy was in Westlife. Okay, you show some damn respect.
I did love Westlife. But what I was going to say was that...
Were you not a Westlife fan?
No, I said I loved Westlife.
Oh, all right, okay.
Got a little world. I've got to stop now. I'm going to end up singing a Boyzone song by accident now because they were around the same time. Anyway, moving back to my point. Sure. I did a segment on 2FM about the summer blockbusters for this year, and literally all of them are some kind of reboot, sequel, remake, reimagining. I mean, The Meg is essentially Jaws with Jason Statham, Ocean's 8, Jurassic World. We've had Infinity War, Deadpool 2 so far. They're kind of ones off the top of my head. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. They're all there's just no. This is the age of cinema we are in, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's sad and unimaginative, but we do have the occasional great movie like A Quiet Place and Tully. I think have been some of the great movies we've had so far this year. But blockbuster wise, it's been a very uninspired,
isn't it? But to be fair, blockbusters, you're just looking for something entertaining. You're not looking for something particularly, ingenious or original. You just want something that'll occupy your brain for 2-3 hours.
But that's just it, and that's exactly why they're thinking Willy Wonka.
Yeah, reboot, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. On the one, I totally understand why they're doing it. Yeah, it makes sense. It's been enough years since the Johnny Depp one. Yeah. These kind of quirky family comedies always do well. You get somebody like Donald Glover or Ryan Gosling involved in it. Yeah. You build it around them. You get a quirky director to take it on. It makes sense.
Actually, we haven't mentioned yet Ezra Miller, who I think could be... Yeah. I think he could be really good as well. Now, I know you've said before that maybe he's too creepy. And I mean, in the likes of We Talk About Kevin, he's very, very creepy. But do remember that as The Flash, I thought he was pretty good as The Flash. And even more so, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. He's great in that. So he is able to do this kind of kiddie-ish, fun thing as well. But maybe I'd almost think that the reason why I'd be kind of leaning away from him is I think he's a bit young.
Yeah, he is too young. Yeah, he's got that baby face look. He doesn't look like
the fact that he'll be opposite kids.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll.
It's too weird. It's too weird. Whereas Donald Glover or Ryan Gosling, sure, I could.
They're the right age.
They're the right age. You could see it. Yeah, 100%. But him, no, he's too sharp. I think he's too kind of sharp a look that you couldn't see him do something like that. He's kind of threatening. Do you not think? Can we throw up a picture of Ezra Miller real quick, actually, just to see? Look at that man. Would you leave that man alone with your children? I wouldn't.
But the whole thing about Willy Wonka is he is a bit...
but not that creepy. Like, it's creepy in the sense of like, oh, I wonder what he's going to do. Not sort of like, oh my God, are my kids going to come back alive?
Okay.
It's not that kind of thing.
All right. Moving on anyway. Last but not least, another one I'm kind of excited about, project on the way, an animated version of The Addams Family.
Yeah.
So this was comic strip originally, I think, right?
Yeah.
Adapted into a TV show in the 60s. I didn't see that now, but I saw the 90s films. Did you see the TV series?
I did. And do you know who voiced Pugsley in the 60s TV series?
I do not.
Jodie Foster.
Oh, really?
Jodie Foster voiced the boy. Pugsley in the 60s cartoon.
They used to do that a lot. They had actresses voice like young boys, and now I think they just get like young boys to
yeah, no,
basically.
You were kind of stopped there, like they get cows.
But
you gotta pay them cows.
It's like how they have a kid voice.
Simpsons. Yeah, you got the joke, didn't you? Yes, producer Dave, I made him break. You got the joke. Yes.
We do love our Simpsons references on this show.
I'm good.
But yeah, it's now being updated into a new animated film version with an all-star cast. This is an awesome
great cast.
Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron as Gomez and Morticia Addams. The latter obviously was Angelica Houston. He's going to be in John Wick 3.
Yeah.
Had to throw that in there.
There we go.
Chloe Grace Moretz as Wednesday. Great choice. Stranger Things star Finn.
There you go.
Wolfhard, thank you, as Foxley. Other stars confirmed include Bette Midler, Nick Kroll, and Alison Janney.
Yeah.
So, obviously won't be a while, unfortunately. Still in production.
I tell you what, though, right?
October 2019 it's slated for.
I tell you right now, that entire cast, I would love to see them do a live-action version.
Yeah.
That's what I'd want to see.
Yeah.
Like Oscar Isaac as Gomez. Give him that, like... He looks like him already.
He looks like him.
You know what I mean? Like Charlize Theron, dye her hair black.
Yeah.
And boom, you got it. That's it. That's literally it. Like, and even what's her face? Chloe Moretz is Wednesday. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Like she could totally do what Christina Ricci did back in the day. Like. I absolutely love The Addams Family. I know I swear to God, I love it so much. There are so many quotable lines from the movies in the 90s. Like the Christina Ricci, I think she was so good in that film.
Well, I mean, Wednesday was pretty much a cultural icon.
Oh,
like,
come on, completely.
She still is. She still comes up on my Twitter feed every Wednesday.
Oh yeah, but in the sense of like, it's just she was so good in it. Like, and like even Angelica Houston. I
loved Angelica Houston as well.
So
Morticia.
Funny in it, like so funny in it, and Christopher Lloyd as well as Fester.
He was gas. Yeah.
So good.
And the hand.
Yeah, and Thing,
Oh, Thing.
Thing, that was his name, yeah. But yeah, That's
my pen, don't put it in your mouth.
Oh, God, sorry, yeah. I just took it there.
Don't mind you fidgeting, just don't put it in your mouth.
Because I don't have my phone. My phone is not here. You will note that there is no phone here.
It was confiscated.
Deirdre has her phone. And
do you want to tell them what I told you?
Yeah, okay, go on.
I told...
This is reverse sexism is what this is.
No, it's
Tell
not.
them the story.
I told him that not everyone should suffer because of his misbehavior.
And that is just such teacher like logic, and I hate it. And whatever.
I hate it and whatever. That's pupil thinking. Pupil thinking.
Anyways,
what that is.
Yeah, to get back to it.
Yeah. So excited for it, but you would have preferred if it was live action.
100%. But like, I'm still gonna go see it one way or
another.
Oh yeah, 100%.
No, it'll be fab. I hope they do that thing where you know how some. Oh, obviously they have to have that. They can't not have it. Oh God, I hope though it's not some like house remix version that they play over the credits. Ugh. Jesus. I know.
What if they got like Diplo to do it? Like,
I was thinking like maybe no, what I was going to say was I hope at least when they're animating it, you know how for certain like movies, like you see it like with Pocahontas and stuff, where they actually like design the characters after the actors.
Oh yeah.
Or there have been other movies in the past, like Shark Tale and stuff like that. They use like actual like physical features to inspire the design.
I don't think they're doing it. I mean, the
But
picture.
if they could make, I know that he has like, you know, each of those characters of the Addams family have their own look, but if they could kind of take some little like characteristic or some little thing that you're like, oh my God, it is them.
But like, I mean,
I
Oscar.
kind of like that in
I do too,
animation.
but like
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac really does look like Gomez.
Well,
like,
that does help.
So that's just it. Like, and like Charlie Theron really does look like Morticia.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
fair enough. But you know, I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, really looking
All
forward to
positive. So now on to the revisit. This week's suggestion was tweeted to us from Damien Phelan. So thanks for that, Damien. Yeah.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Great choice. Monster Squad.
I wish that Mike had been here for this because he was really excited
loves
for
it.
I remember when I was interviewing Rob Cohen a few weeks ago, which you can see if you scroll through podcasts. I was talking to him about Hurricane High, still the best bad movie I've seen so far all year. But he was an exec producer on the Monster Squad, and I remember when I was interviewing him, Mike was saying, "Oh, we did the Monster Squad," and I was kind of like, "What? What movie's that? Huh?" Because he's done like, you know, Triple X.
Oh
and,
yeah. He's a really well-known director.
like Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really well known. But Mike was like, Monster Squad.
Get it in there.
So yeah, make sure you mention that. So what is it about the Monster Squad and why is it worth a revisit?
Okay. Monster Squad, I feel, has been kind of unfairly, I guess, ignored, Greg, because it was released right around the time
1987,
of
I think was the
1987.
year,
Yeah. So it was like between like The Goonies, The Lost Boys, and just that kind of like, you know, teenage, preteen kids getting into some really, really serious trouble. Trouble that you just wouldn't happen nowadays.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I think it's the kind of film that like, or even like, what's the other one? Fright Night. Kind of like Fright Night is a similar buzz as well.
It was kind of released actually, I think, you mentioned there Lost Boys, Goonies, also Stand By Me.
Stand By Me, yes.
But all three of those movies, I think, were either released in 1985 or 86. So it was literally like a year or two before. So there was kind of this onslaught at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's an element as well, I think, that like, you know, had Monster Squad had a more well-known cast, or at least if the cast had gone on to do bigger and better things, it would be the sort of thing like, oh yeah, Monster Squad, when, you know, such and such. Because like, remember, like the Goonies had Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Had the Aston guy, Sean Astin.
yeah.
Sean Astin, and I had, what's the other one's name? Martha Plimpton. And just, I had a really well-known cast.
And then Stand By Me, Kiefer Sutherland.
River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, you know, like, and John Cusack. So, like, I think, and Lost Boys as well, you had, like, you know, Jason Patrick, you had, again, Kiefer Sutherland, you had, who else? The Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. You know, I think had Monster Squad that kind of cachet, we'd be talking about it in the same breath. I mean, I suppose we kind of are now, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it would be more in people's minds, I think.
Sure.
There's another element to it as well that I love that I think was very much ahead of its time, was that it was totally self-aware.
Yeah.
It was really like, you know, the way
especially with the whole comic books thing, I thought. Yeah.
Like the fact that, like, you know, we look at stuff like, you know, like Guardians of the Galaxy, or we look at stuff like Thor Ragnarok, or we look at like any of those like Marvel comic book things where they've gone self-aware with it. Monster Squad was doing that in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was aware of the fact that, like, yes, we have Dracula, the Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. We've got all these characters in one movie, and like, kids are going to try kill them. Like, it was aware of how stupid it was, and it was aware of how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
That to me was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, but like, it just didn't catch on at the time because I think, you know, there wasn't, you know, pop culture hadn't reached that point where it had become so proliferated that it could now be inverted in on itself, that it could go meta. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What
I
do you
mean,
think?
I saw
it for the first time.
For the first time last night, kind of between last night and this morning.
Yeah, you were saying,
finished it quickly.
Well, what did you think?
I really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun and silly and playful and just kind of good crack, really. Really short as well. It's only like 85 minutes.
Something, yeah.
Which is great. So yeah, I was just looking, I was kind of, it was weird that it cost 12 million to make, only made 3.8 in the box office.
Yeah.
But I've only kind of heard about it in the last maybe year or two. So did something happen, or how come people are kind of talking about it again?
I think it's because it's Shane Black who did Lethal Weapon and did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And
he was a writer on this.
He was a writer on this, and Fred Dekker wrote it with him. And Fred Dekker and Shane Black have reunited to write The Predator.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, the fact that this is the two of them getting back together, kind of, again, it's like, oh, wow, remember Monster Squad? That was really good. And I think the fact that, like, it's...
Yeah, I suppose it can do with... I suppose, like you said there, maybe it was because it couldn't work off the back of the success of other cast and crew. I mean, even the director whose name is...
It was Fred Dekker.
Fred Dekker.
Yeah.
He didn't really do anything afterwards, but maybe it's like Shane Black, they're going back looking at his earlier work. So it's kind of like with Taika Waititi, I suppose, what happened with him. Everyone went back then and watched... have you seen this movie called What We Do in the Shadows? I saw it before. It was cool.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Eagle versus Shark. That was really good. Yeah, you should go back and watch it.
Yeah.
It's like any band that gets popular.
Yeah.
It's like, I like the earlier stuff. The early stuff is way better. This is Monster Squad is like hipster movie nerds are like kind of like, oh no, I love Monster. I had Monster Squad in VHS, man. Yeah, you don't know. It was so good. But it's true though. Like, it really was one of those ones where it was like, it was way ahead of its time. It was hilarious. And like, yeah, it's just, you watch it now and you can clearly see that, if this film was made now, it would be a giant hit. I have no doubt in my mind. If this film was released now, and I'm not talking about the remake, I'm talking about if they made this film now, it would have done really, really well.
Yeah.
But
keep it set in the 80s as well.
Keep it set in the 80s,
yeah. Because I find it kind of interesting that this wasn't the first movie to do this, and it won't be the last, but that whole idea of putting all the monsters together.
Monster rallies, yeah.
I was thinking about where we kind of see that now, and really the main place is animation, like with the likes of Hotel Transylvania, that series, and then Monster Family, which was pretty dreadful. But I just find it really interesting that that whole trope of having the monsters all together is still used in this kind of really lighthearted, fun, almost like childlike way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to think that maybe Monster Squad was like a predecessor to that kind of stuff we're seeing now.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, we don't really see it kind of done in like a live action setting anymore. No. But what this movie did with it, which is so great, is that it's just having fun with it.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's such a fun film. Like, it's total... You can just enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't have to dissect it. You don't have to be like, I wonder what this thing, is, Dracula really kind of about, sexual powers? Yeah. It's not like, he's literally got the cape and the red thing, and like, it's...
Even the fact that it doesn't have like stars to distract you, it's not like, oh, where do I know him from? Where do I know him from? It's just like a bunch of like kids being kids.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. But I will say, there was one guy who did go on to do something interesting. The guy who played the Wolfman.
Okay.
He was in Napoleon Dynamite. He was the uncle in Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, there you go. Little random
bit of trivia. That's the only guy that did kind of anything kind of like, oh yeah, he was in that.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. So it's a shame.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that after The Predator now, like you said, people will see the name Shane Black and they'll be like, oh, what was the earlier Shane Black stuff? And obviously people will have seen like the likes of Lethal Weapon and that kind of stuff now. And, obviously he started in the original Predator and everything. But maybe they'll go back, through the back catalogue.
Yeah, and same with Fred Dekker as well.
Yeah.
Fred Dekker deserves a lot of credit for how he kind of directed this. Like, because again, it was, as you were saying, like the cartoon, kind of the fact that like we see these monsters together in cartoons. This was like a live action cartoon.
Yeah,
I think this was really like screwball, like the bit where he like shoves the dynamite down the Wolfman's and then pushes him out the window. Like, that's total cartoon violence. Like,
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, I find it so funny, like with the girl, and remember she had to read the spell, but she had to be a virgin. And then they were like, you're not a virgin, are you? And she was like, well, my first time, it didn't really count. It was with your man. And I was like, oh my God.
That's perfect. Like, that's hilarious. Like, that's like, I'm being that self-aware about it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just so ahead of its time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So people go back and revisit.
Definitely.
Brilliant. So I think that's about it for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said before, send all your comments and requests. Oh, and also do send us suggestions for next week's revisit because we don't have one lined up yet. And,
let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you want us to chat about. Also, just tell us if you've seen a good movie lately or any kind of random movie or film related thought. We love to hear from you. Tweet all that jazz to @thefilmshow. That's FILUM. Thanks so much to our producer, David Regan.
Producer
Thank
Dave.
you. And to Charlotte O'Reed for putting the show together, and to you, the listeners and viewers.
You
Stop
are
cringing.
never using that script. Get rid of that script.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, Deirdre.
Do make sure. I'm being nice. I'm thanking everyone who deserves to be thanked. Thanks, Brian.
Wrap it up.
Do like and subscribe. Tell your friends to do so, and we'll chat to you next week.